do think of that 2 hours, 2.5 hours, what have you, that we're together, audience, instrumentalists, singers if there are, conductor. I think that everyone within the sound of the music is really on a journey together, is the way I craft my own thinking moving towards crafting programming. And I like there to be that arc of experience. Sometimes expected arc, sometimes unexpected, and both things I think are wonderful. Often the thread of connection that I look at for an opening is simply celebration. So I feel like I have a little more leeway. I'm not tying a theme so closely together like space or water or something like that. Opening of a season, I'm just looking for us to celebrate getting back together after hopefully a wonderful and not wet summer like we had last year, and just enjoying great music in Merrill Hall. So we open with the first tone poem I ever conducted, and it's the one I think I've conducted the most often, Don Juan. And I think that's a great way to just bring back the sheer power of an orchestra to an audience after several months break. Edgar is going to play 2 concertos, the Bottesini concerto and then the Meyer concerto, and yes, that's Edgar's own, that is him. So he'll play 2. They're short-ish concerti, about 16 minutes each. And then after intermission, Tchaik 4. And I played Tchaikovsky's 2nd symphony on my audition, and I haven't done one since. So I'm really excited to cap that off with Tchaik 4. I realize what you're looking at next on the program. That's Williams, as in John Williams, Suite from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I wish I could tell you that I was the one immensely clever enough to first decide that Holst the Planet should be paired with some music of John Williams, but I'm not at all. In fact, the Los Angeles Philharmonic and Zubin Mehta made a recording of this exact pairing, Close Encounters of the Third Kind and The Planets of Holst, and I was fascinated by the matchup. I think that 100 years from now, we'll see a lot of music of people with names like John Williams and James Horner played on classical concerts. In fact, history bears me out, because these days we see a lot of Korngold on classical concerts, and Korngold 75 years ago would have been thought of as only someone really who was writing for, swashbuckling movies, So I think that we're in the exact right place, and the right place doing right by history to do this, and plus it's just a great piece of music. That's the most important point. Chris Brubeck is the son of Dave Brubeck. He's the trombonist in the Dave Brubeck Ensemble, and a tremendous musician. I know Chris a bit because he happens to live out in Phoenix, Arizona. But Randall Craig Fleischer was a key proponent of putting together this commission with several orchestras around the country, and we jumped at the chance to be part of it. We'll be giving the main premiere. It's called Travels in Time for 3. You can see the play on words. And basically it's a concerto for 2 violins, bass, and orchestra, and obviously because of Chris Brubeck, there's a great jazz component to it. One piece that players have been talking to me about since I got here that they would like to see on the programming is the Hindemith, Symphonic Metamorphosis. And I thought that was a nice fit because Time for 3 represents a musical metamorphosis. And so it was that part, began my thinking on the rest of the picture, and how is the metamorphosis of music, or the evolution of music, how does this happen? And especially with regard to how older forms make their way into newer forms. Brubeck, that's going to be obvious. Prokofiev Third, I can't tell you how long I've been trying to program this concerto. I think every single year I've tried to make it fit in a schematic, and either that the date wouldn't work for the artist I wanted, or the artist we got decided that, well, he or she would rather do a different concerto. Finally, we had the artist I was hoping to get to play it and the piece. Prokofiev Third and Andrew van Ooyen. Andrew is a true star and plays all over the world and with the greatest orchestras, and his talent matches his career. And plus he's a really, really great human being, and he'll be a great person to interact with the audience and with the community here. You always like to end the season with one of the grandest works in the repertory. This year it's Mahler 2. We've ended in past years with Bartók Concerto for Orchestra, or Mahler 1 when I was music director designate, and next year it will be the Ravel Daphnis and Chloe, which is just as expansive and rewarding of any music, and people have asked me already, are we doing the whole thing? The answer is yes, we're doing the whole thing. It's broken up, as you know, into suites, suite 1, suite 2, or you can do the entire thing. And I've learned, interestingly, that the entire thing is suite 1 and suite 2 together with about 7 bars of additional music for the chorus that connects the 2 suites. So you could hear basically the whole thing by hearing just the 2 suites, but we're going to even give the extra 7 bars. You know, it's the Duke Ellington quote, there's only 2 types of music, good and bad. And I think we found great music in all genres, classical, chamber, choral, popular music. Eileen Ivers is one of my favorite artists. She is a Celtic fiddler. I think that really limits what the experience is if you just mention that about Eileen, but she's a phenomenal violinist of the highest order and has a huge following, and so she will kick off the opening, and that's Eileen Ivers and her band, Immigrant Soul, with the Portland Symphony. A concert that I've done several times with an artist that I'm crazy about, Elvis Wade. Elvis Wade Cummings is his name. In fact, he had his name was Wade Cummings, and he had his name legally changed to Elvis Wade. This is a guy that's seriously enthralled with Elvis. And I've conducted in Memphis a few times, and I can tell you that there's a whole world out there of people who are absolutely crazed about Elvis in this way, and I think I'm one of them. And he does a great concert, and he never says I'm Elvis Presley. It's an homage. I just noticed that I mentioned a lot of new works, a lot of commissioned works, a lot of grand works from the repertory, with names like Tchaikovsky and Richard Strauss and Bruckner and Mendelssohn and Ravel. So we celebrate and do what we're supposed to do, play the great works at the highest of levels. Some of the greatest in choral music, one of the greatest choral works that exist in the Bach St. John Passion, excuse me. Great instrumental soloist, great vocal soloist. You know, I can't believe we've got Eileen Ivers and Andrew van Ooyen and Time for Three and Edgar Meyer all coming in the same season. So extremely excited about that. Great threads of connection, whether it be about the planets or concertmasters collaborating or the evolution and metamorphosis of music. So it feels nice. It feels every time I look at it, I think this just feels like a very complete season and the right way for us to keep on maturing together and evolving together.